Hi there, I'm Matt Donnelly, and this is your Week 14 Bengals preview. It may only be week number 14, but as far as the Bengals are concerned, the playoffs, they started last week when they knocked off the Jacksonville Jaguars in overtime to push their record to 6-6. This week, they are hosting the 7-5 Indianapolis Colts, who are currently locked into that 6th seed in the AFC playoffs, if those playoffs were to start today. A win this week would give the Bengals an identical record as the Colts and the Steelers, who lost on Thursday Night Football to the New England Patriots. A win at home this week is not going to be easy against this Indianapolis Colts squad, who's coming into this game on a 4-game win streak and an overtime victory of their own against the Tennessee Titans last week. It comes down to this Bengals defense finding an answer for Gardner, Minshew, and this Colts passing offense. Again, that is easier said than done. If you're looking at this from a fantasy perspective, the Bengals defense, they have some work to do here this week, allowing 20.74 fantasy points per game over the last 4 weeks to the quarterback position, not to mention 39.33 allowed to wide receivers over that same time. Both are the bottom 8 when it comes to fantasy points allowed in the NFL. Now, Minshew, he threw for over 300 yards last week against the Titans team there. That's not very good against the pass, while supporting a pair of 100-yard receivers in Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman. Cincinnati, they allowed the Jaguars to average 8.2 yards per attempt while on their way to surrendering 321 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 118.1 passer rating. Cam Taylor-Britt, he's not coming back anytime soon. He was placed on IR, so this Bengals team has to figure a way to get things done. Maybe the best way to help the secondary is by Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson taking their game up another notch, which is not going to be easy because both of them have been playing at the top of the game right now. Look, 4 sacks, 7 quarterback hits against Trevor Lawrence last week. And Trey Hendrickson, he's maybe one of the best pass rushers that nobody's talking about right now, with at least half a sack in 10 of 12 games so far this season. If the Bengals cannot get to Minshew, then this Colts quarterback, he's going to be able to throw all over the field once more against the Bengals secondary, who has allowed 1,219 passing yards, 5 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. If the Bengals have any chance of slowing this passing game down, they need to find a way to contain Michael Pittman, who has seen 41 targets over the last 3 weeks. And Gardner Minshew, while he's been under center, Pittman has seen at least 22% of the targets in every single game, not to mention 5 of those games in which that target share has been over 27%. There's a very good reason why Michael Pittman has at least 8 catches in 6 of the last 8 Colts contests. If the Bengals do slow down this passing game, they still need to figure a way how to stop Zach Moss and this Colts run game, potentially without DJ Reader, who did not practice on Friday. If he's not there, this is a huge blow to the Bengals' run defense. A run defense that is allowing 4.68 yards per carry and a league-high 2.08 yards before contact. If the Bengals can't stop it, well, heck, why don't you just join them? Because Indianapolis is one of those teams that likes to sit back and run zone coverage. They can get pressure after the quarterback with just their front 4, but they love to sit back in zone. They run it 84% of the time, and they rarely bring that extra defender after the quarterback. Now, outside of Keenan Allen, no wide receiver has a greater target share versus zone coverage than Jamar Chase's 29%. And if that's the case, then Chase, he's well on his way to his 9th game in his past 11, in which he's accumulated at least 12 fantasy points. This game has all the makings to being a shootout. We know what Jamar Chase is capable of, but no one was expecting to see what we had seen out of Jake Browning last week, completing 32 of 37 passes, throwing for 354 yards and a touchdown against the Jaguars in a hostile environment in Jacksonville. Now, there is a drastic difference when we're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars pass defense and the Indianapolis Colts pass defense, especially when it pertains to quarterbacks in fantasy, but that hasn't stopped Who Dey Nation from calling him Jay Cool here in recent weeks. Now, Browning, he realized that his best chance to succeed is by feeding Jamar Chase 12 targets, 11 receptions, 149 yards, and a touchdown last week, and you can expect a similar game plan again in this one. But let's not overlook the fact that 5 different Bengals had at least 35 receiving yards. Indianapolis, they have been good defensively, but the Bengals present a different challenge. We talked about the aforementioned Jamar Chase. He also has T. Higgins, who returned last week from injury, and we also had Joe Mixon. Jamar Chase, he's going to get his in this game here against this Colts zone coverage. But Joe Mixon, he could be the MVP of this game and in line for a decent contest, considering that the Colts have allowed 430 yards rushing and a pair of scores, both on Derrick Henry there last week, over the last 4 weeks, not to mention the 5th most fantasy points at the position over that time. Now, Henry not only had a pair of scores, but he averaged 4.9 yards per carry on his way to 102 rushing yards. Indianapolis' struggles versus the run don't just end there. They are allowing 142.3 scrimmage yards yards per game to running backs, which is the fourth most in the NFL. Now, most of that damage had been done without defensive tackle Grover Stewart, who had sat out due to suspension. He's going to be back this week, so that's not ideal for the Bengals, as the Colts are allowing 4.6 yards per carry while he was absent, versus 3.59 when he's been in the game. But these are scrimmage yards here. This is not necessarily rushing yards, so expect Joe Mixon to be involved in the passing game. And I don't think the Colts have an answer for Joe Mixon. This game, hey, this has all the makings. This is a game script right now. I got the game script from the NFL commissioner here right now. This game is going to overtime once again, and we haven't even kicked off week number 14. And this is one of those games that has many people excited. Playoff type atmosphere, win and you're in type scenario. Now, by the way, neither team is in if they win this one, but it's going to go a long way to their playoff potential.